to simply ignore these problems, have refused to take them seriously, and have, quote, instead all too often chosen to align themselves with ancient and pre-scientific metaphysical theories of reality that involve rather obvious and stark problems, antinomies, and paradoxes. Grupp rejects all theories of composition and believes that replacing nihilism to be the only coherent option. Central to his position is his redefining of the divisions of reality. He notes that reality is ordinarily viewed in terms of levels. The chemical level is made up of the particles of physics, the biological level is made up of chemicals, and so forth. Considering that this system of levels has to do entirely with the idea of physical composition, Grupp rejects it. Instead, he draws one line through all of existence and calls the two resulting sides Division 1 and Division 2. Division 1 reality is the reality of the non-composite, fundamental objects of the quantum world, whereas Div 2 reality is everything larger than the scientific atom. Div 1 reality is revealed through quantum physics and can never be directly experienced. Any and all experiences that humans have are experiences of Division 2 reality, which Grupp demonstrates can be reduced to experiences of surface and color. Smell is describable in terms of air surface hitting the inner nose surface. Hearing is describable in terms of an eardrum hitting a disturbed air surface. Taste is describable in terms of the surface of food hitting the surface of the tongue. Tactile experience is describable in terms of the interplay of surfaces, skin surface to surface of a physical object. Sight experience is describable in terms of experience of colors and surfaces, light reflecting off a surface. He holds that Division 2 experiences are illusory in that they are inventions of consciousness. To demonstrate this, imagine the example of an apple. If one were to hold the apple in their hand, they will experience it as a solid object. Examination on an atomic level reveals that the apple is almost entirely empty space. The apple is perceived to be red, when in fact red is not a physical property of the apple, but rather a figment of perception based on the interpretation of reflected light as received by the eye and transmitted to the brain. Considering that neither our sense of surface nor our sense of color accurately describe the apple to us, it would seem that we are incapable of perceiving the apple as it actually is. What is true for the apple is true for the world. The fact that Division 2 reality is allegedly composed of Division 1 reality is, to Grupp, absurd and impossible, considering that the two divisions are essentially the inverse of each other. In Division 2 reality, there is an apparent causal chain. Cause and effect seem to govern events. Due to the existence of cause and effect, the outcome of an event in Division 2 reality can be accurately predicted given enough good information. This is completely untrue for Division 1 reality, which contains randomness. Grupp cites quotations demonstrating this from numerous physicists, including a succinct passage from the physicist Herbert, who wrote, "The essence of quantum randomness is simply this: identical physical situations give rise to different outcomes." Additionally, objects within Division 2 reality have size, while quantum particles, as far as has been discovered, have no size whatsoever and are considered to be points. Electrons are in fact commonly referred to as point charges by physicists. These point-sized particles only exist momentarily and do not travel very far during their existence. Consider this quote from the physicist Ford. "For a particle, 1/100th of a second is an eternity. A gluon, the glue particle within a nucleus, lasts about that long between its creation and annihilation. A pion, a particle created in nuclear collisions, that moves a whole foot, has traveled nearly 1,000,000 billion times the diameter of a proton, and has taken a lengthy 10 to the negative 9 seconds to do it. Particles that live long enough to leave tracks in a detector have lifetimes of 10 to the negative 9 to 10 to the negative 6 seconds. Another fact of quantum particles which serves to contrast them from Division 2 objects is that they do not have a definite location. An electron, for example, has instead what is known as a probability distribution. It may be anywhere within a field of less and more likely locations. If the probability distribution of an electron happens to land the electron on the other side of an obstacle, the electron will simply appear on the other side of the obstacle, a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling. For a person, this would be like walking toward or standing by a wall and then suddenly being on the other side. Where Division 2 reality involves surfaces and colors, is predictable, and contains spatially extended objects that persist, Division 1 reality is precisely the opposite. At the quantum level, randomness permeates all. Objects are momentary, surfaces and colors do not exist, and objects are without size or location. It's because of these and other contradictory properties that many view quantum physics as enigmatic and paradoxical. But the popular understanding of quantum physics is, according to Jeffrey Grupp, the result of amateurish interpretation of the data by a handful of prominent physicists. He notes that physicists have offered little in the way of conceptual interpretation of quantum physics, and have offered virtually no explanation as to how the quantum world somehow gives rise to the world we experience. Grupp holds that the quantum world only seems strange and impossible because it's held as fact that the macroscopic world which we perceive is real. We trust our perception too much to acknowledge the only reasonable conclusion. To Grupp, it is Division 2 reality which contains paradox and should be regarded as false. Through extreme physical reductionism, Jeffrey Grupp has arrived at a type of anti-realist idealism. Uniting modern physics with age-old Buddhist atomism, he's found cause to doubt the reality of the world we perceive. To Grupp, composite objects do not exist. Only the fundamental, sizeless Division 1 quantum abstract atoms exist. Since consciousness also exists, he reasons that consciousness must be a fundamental property of quantum abstract atoms, and therefore consciousness is reality. If his mereological nihilism is correct, then the world we experience is an illusion. Quantum abstract atoms do not in any way touch or come together to build or compose the objects we believe we experience. There is no space, there is no universe, there are no animals, people, or things. These things exist only as concepts, only as perceptual inventions of the consciousness which permeates all.